Welcome back to Old Coin Adventures. This penny was born during one of the strangest periods in modern U.S. coin history. Look at the date, 1967. Now look underneath it. Nothing. No mint mark at all. And that isn't a mistake. It was part of a decision made by the U.S. Mint during a nationwide coin shortage. But here's where this ordinary-looking penny becomes interesting. 1967 was not a normal year for American coins. The mint was changing how coins were produced. Collectors were dealing with shortages, and millions of Lincoln cents were being struck without the mint marks people normally use to identify them. So if you find a 1967 penny, you can't simply look for a little letter under the date. You have to investigate the coin differently. And that's where today's mystery begins. Because hidden among these ordinary-looking cents, there are recognized varieties, including double die examples, and some can become much more interesting to collectors when the right characteristics and condition come together. But here's the danger. A damaged 1967 penny can look unusual too. A scratch can create a strange line. Machine doubling can make lettering appear shifted, and wear can completely change the appearance of Lincoln's portrait. So today, we're going to investigate this coin like a detective. I'll show you why 1967 was such an unusual year, what makes its sense different, where to search for genuine doubling, and what evidence you need before calling your penny a mint error. And stay with me until part 2, because that's where we'll follow the money, look at documented auction results, and find out what a genuinely scarce 1967 Lincoln cent can bring. So don't look underneath the date expecting to find a D or an S. For this penny, the missing mint mark is actually part of the story. Before we talk about value, there's something unusual about the 1967 Lincoln cent that you need to understand. Look at the obverse. You'll see Abraham Lincoln, "In God We Trust," Liberty, and the date, 1967. Now look underneath the date. There's no mint mark. And here's the important part. That's exactly what we should expect. During the mid-1960s, the United States was dealing with a major coin shortage. To help increase production and discourage people from saving coins based on mint origin, the mint temporarily removed mint marks from circulating coins. That means a 1967 Lincoln cent doesn't tell you its mint location through a little D or S underneath the date. The absence of a mint mark isn't an error, it's history, and that makes the 1967 cent different from many other Lincoln cents collectors search. The coin itself measures approximately 19 millimeters and weighs around 3.11 grams. It's made from the bronze composition used for Lincoln cents of this era, and it has a plain edge. Now, let's move to the part collectors really care about, the design. Start with Liberty. Move across to "In God We Trust." Then examine the date. You're looking for something that appears to have an additional impression, but don't stop there. Turn the coin over. Study the Lincoln Memorial, the lettering, and the smaller details. If you see doubling, the next question is, because not every doubled-looking feature is a double die. Machine doubling can create a flat, shelf-like appearance. Damage can produce random lines, where it can make letters look distorted. A genuine double die, however, has characteristics created in the die itself. And that's what makes a documented variety collectible. The goal isn't to find something that simply looks strange. The goal is to find something that matches known characteristics. So if your 1967 cent shows unusual doubling, take photographs under magnification. Compare the exact location, the shape, and the direction of the separation. And don't clean the coin. Don't polish it. Don't scratch it. Don't try to make the doubling more visible. Preserve the evidence. Because with a coin like this, the history is already there. The challenge is proving what you're actually looking at. And now, we've reached the question that makes this search exciting. If the 1967 cent was produced in huge numbers, and doesn't even have a mint mark, what could possibly make one worth serious money? Now, let's talk about value. And the first thing you need to forget is the idea that every 1967 penny is rare. It isn't. The 1967 cent was produced in enormous quantities. The missing mint mark doesn't make it rare, and an old-looking surface doesn't automatically add value. The value story begins when we identify something genuinely unusual, a recognized double-die variety, a major minter, or an exceptionally preserved example, can completely change the equation. And that's why auction records are so important. Instead of looking at online listings, look for coins that actually sold, because someone asking $5,000 for a penny doesn't mean a collector paid $5,000 for it. A completed auction is much stronger evidence. For a serious 1967 variety, the exact attribution and grade can make a major difference. A circulated example and a sharply struck, high-grade certified example can live in completely different price ranges. So if your 1967 cent shows unusual doubling, don't start with the price. Start with identification. Is the feature actually on the die? Does it match a documented variety? Is the coin genuine? And what condition is it in? Those questions come first. If the coin continues to look promising, professional authentication is the smart next step. PCGS and NGC can authenticate and grade collectible US coins, and certified examples can then be compared with established auction records. If the variety is confirmed, you can consider selling through reputable auction platforms such as Great Collections, Heritage Auctions, or Stax Bowers. But don't rush to sell an uncertified coin simply because an internet listing shows a huge number. First, prove what you have. Find comparable sales. Decide what the market is actually willing to pay. And here's what makes the 1967 cent so fascinating. The most obvious clue isn't an error at all. It's the fact that there's no mint mark. That tiny empty space underneath the date takes us straight back to a period when America was dealing with a serious coin shortage, and the mint was changing how it produced and identified its coins. So when you hold a 1967 Lincoln cent, you're not just holding an old penny. You're holding a small piece of the story behind America's coinage during the 1960s. And if that same coin happens to contain a genuine, recognized mint variety, the story becomes even more interesting. So look at your 1967 cent again. Don't search for the D. Don't search for the S. Search the details. Because sometimes, what isn't there can be just as important as what is. This is Old Coin Adventures. And remember, every old coin has a history. But some coins have a secret.